Hello, those of you on HDEF. Hold on just 1 second while I queue up the live show. Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to The Correct Views. Sam IB de Gangi reporting for the Media Speaks, flying solo tonight, as it were. It seems that the hours that we post, and keep in mind, guys, it is 4:30 in the morning, do not necessarily coincide with the hours of Christelle. So, The Correct Views now flies solo. Well, that's fine. That's how it started. Christelle, just odd hours. I get it. I really do. Guys, iflscience.com. This is my leading story. It was given to me by a person named Dana Murray, who is very, very intelligent. When he first put this on my site, he tagged me, but there were like 9 billion comments on this Facebook post. And I didn't get a chance to see who, I saw the name, didn't pay much attention. I was half asleep. I was off. I didn't really realize who had sourced me on this, but it was Dana, and I'm going to lead with this story. And before you zone out and decide, oh, this is one of the ones I don't want to watch, please keep in mind that this is in almost everything that you eat. Am I talking about corn? No, I'm talking about the other one, rice. Don't zone out. I guarantee within the last 3 days, you very likely ate rice. You don't know that you did, but you did. Because rice and corn are in everything. But guys, listen to this. High levels of cancer-causing arsenic in rice. So why isn't it regulated in our food? Arsenic and old lace. How many of you know the story? Nobody. I mean, everybody's like, what the... Guys, arsenic is one of the worst toxins known to man. Let me move this main mic closer. There are 2 sides to rice, it says. The grain that feeds half of the world, and the primary carcinogenic, that is cancer-causing for you hip-hop fans, carcinogenic source of inorganic arsenic in our diet. Remember that name, inorganic. It's important in a moment. Arsenic is a natural occurring element that is ubiquitous to the environment. It is present primarily as inorganic arsenic, which is highly toxic. That means not good for you. What sets rice apart is that it is the only major crop that is grown under flooded conditions. It is this flooding, it says, that releases the inorganic, that is to say toxic arsenic, normally locked up in soil minerals, which makes it available for the plant to uptake. Rice has typically 10 times more inorganic arsenic than other foods. And there's a link for this. The European Food Standards Authority have reported people who eat a lot of rice are exposed to worrying concentrations of arsenic. Chronic exposure can cause a range of health problems, there's a link for that too, including developmental problems, heart disease, diabetes, and nervous system damage. How would you like to be walking around twitching and not able to stop? Well, that's what it's talking about, so don't zone out. It says, however, most worrying are lung cancer and bladder cancers. Not only does it take horrible surgeries to get rid of those in many cases, usually the battle is lost. That's why they mention that. This is bad. It's not, and what's even worse is I ordered Oriental the other day from a place. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I'm 41 years old and I've been eating there for the last 15 to 20 years and this place has never poisoned me. I ordered rice because I didn't want the starch that's in the noodles, and then I read this. I mention it because I've been in the bathroom every day since then, after it. I don't think it was the restaurant. It may have been, it may not have been. It's irrelevant. Nobody wants to hear about my bathroom visits. My point is, that there's something drastically wrong with our food. And one of the things we do to prevent it is maybe we'll do what I did. We will order rice instead of noodles, which is really what we wanted anyway. Now we find out it may have been better just to stick with the starch freaking noodles. Children of most concern, as always, everything is worse on children. The first food that most people eat is rice porridge. And needless to say, if you feed your baby rice porridge like most babies get, you don't want the statistics, I'm going to skip it. It can be very bad for you. The point of the story is rice. Rice is in everything. It's in your cereal. Sometimes it is mixed in your cereal and you don't even know it. Rice is in everything. And we are finding arsenic levels of it through the roof. Where are the regulations? While there is tight regulation around inorganic arsenic in our water supplies in Europe, but none for the food. Therefore, if the water is going on to the rice, then doesn't it stand to reason, since rice is grown underwater, that it might be a really good idea? Brown rice is higher, it says, in inorganic arsenic than white, which is awful because I like brown and Christelle likes white. She's also getting her sleep, so that means she's double going to live. Friends, I'm doomed. It means everything I like to eat, I'm going to die. If you hate my show, it means that's wonderful. It says you can get around this to some degree from eating rice from other parts of the world. Like Dana said, who showed me the article, how are you actually going to do that? There's almost none of it there at all. So the point being, you may not want to go to rice as a healthy alternative too many times. Another point being, avoid rice with kids and know what's in your food. How? By listening to shows like mine. By asking questions at naturalnews.com. In case you hate me, go to naturalnews.com. Like Adams, ask any of his crew, what's in our food, what are we eating, and find out before you just start eating everything that they tell you is safe. Unless you are a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or don't know independent, and you just simply trust your leaders. And I don't think there's anybody that I just mentioned in any of those groups that really do. PrisonPlanet.com, Kit Daniels, Ferguson cop rapes woman in jail lawsuit claims. Now, many of you know, and in case you don't, I'll say it again, Brown had it coming. Why? Because it looks like he attacked the police officer, and I'm no huge fan of the cops. I'm really not. But not all cops are bad. This is a thug who robbed a store and got his ass shot for attacking a cop. And everybody's like, poor Brown. You know what? Brown had it coming. I don't care whether or not you spoke in front of the UN or not. The only way that I will publicly retract that is if it proves that he did not attack the cop, and it looks like he did. They're not ordering an entire army into that area for no reason whatsoever. If you don't believe me, the National Guard is being called there, and you will believe me when you see them. This is something that I would protest for. I wouldn't join the marches down there now because it has Brown's name on it, and I think Brown is a thug who had it coming. I would join a march for this in Ferguson. The woman, JW, I have no idea what race she is and it doesn't matter, was stopped by Ferguson police on October 13th, 2013, because her license plates were expired and was arrested after giving a false name. Keep in mind that there is nothing at all that says that the government has a right to make you keep renewing your license. That's double taxation, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. You smell good, JW claims Officer Hayden said to her during her booking. This will teach you a lesson. JW's boyfriend eventually posted her bond, but Officer Hayden said she still had traffic warrants from other sites. In exchange for securing her release, it goes on, Officer Hayden took JW to the boiler room and proceeded to have sex with her, and she did not resist out of fear, according to the lawsuit. The suit also claims that Officer Hayden led her to a side door and told her to stay close to the building when leaving, to presumably stay out of the sight of security cameras. Now, many of you are going to be saying, Sam, you stuck up for Bill Cosby. I do, because his victims, none of them got a rape test. Did they get a rape test here? Yep. JW went to the hospital afterwards, and DNA tests confirmed pubic hair from her body was from Hayden. That means no matter what side of the political aisle you are in fact from, either she willingly had sex with the cop that just arrested her over the BS traffic stuff that she should have never been charged with anyway, and then chose to have sex with him, or he raped her. That's pretty much the only two options that you have here. I do not believe that there is an officer alive that is pretty enough, no matter who she is, that could possibly get me to have sex with her after ticketing me. Who's with me? The conduct of City of Ferguson law enforcement in engaging in repeated acts of violence and constitutional violations against the citizenry constitutes a pattern, the lawsuit asserts. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. There's a problem down there that has nothing to do with that thug. The lawsuit comes at a poor time for the city, as provocateurs posing as protesters, that's a very good way to put it, provocateurs posing as protesters are expected to riot in response to the jury decision of whether to indict Officer Darren Wilson, who did nothing wrong when he shot and killed 18-year-old Michael Brown, who was a thug during an altercation on August 9th when Brown had it coming. Alright guys, we're going to go on here to more news. PrisonPlanet.com. School teaches kids that the government gives us rights. Also PJ Dub. A handout given to second grade children at a school in Fairfield, Connecticut states that, quote, the government gives us rights. A disturbing example of how kids are being miseducated about their constitutional freedoms in America. Second grade, I mean, you can really put some BS in a kid's head at second grade, and he's gonna remember it, be it good or be it bad. Trust me. Let me give you another bit of information. The Constitution says that we get these rights from a creator, a God. No matter, even if you're an atheist, it is to say that you are born with them by the fact that you were born. Well, concerned parent Andrew Washburn posted the handout to his Facebook page after his 8-year-old daughter brought home the paper. Entitled Being a Good Citizen, the handout tells children that, quote, rights are special privileges that the government gives you, and that the government gives us rights. Actually, the paper is written poorly. It says, rights are special privileges the government gives you. It should say, rights are the special privileges that the government gives to you. So their social studies are awful and their English is just as bad. The handout also later states that, quote, someday you will be given the right to vote. Given, not someday you will get the God-given right to vote. You will be given the right to vote. Again, implying that this is a right granted by the government. Sieg Heil, idiots. You see, I know how important it is to get children early in their lives to make sure they understand how it is in the world. Otherwise, it says, their impressionable minds might be corrupted by falsehoods, like the idea that our rights come from our Creator and that we were born with them. I like how he writes that. Washburn wrote on Facebook. In other words, your rights do not come from the government. They come by the fact that you were given them by God. And if you don't believe in God, then you were given to them by the fact that you are now hearing my voice. The school is trying to confuse the two. Guys, that brings us to FoxNews.com. For those of you that say I never go to mainstream sites, you are wrong. Surgeon who contracted Ebola virus in Sierra Leone dies at Nebraska hospital. Now, I haven't been doing a lot of Ebola, which makes Nick Popa happy. I haven't been doing a lot of Ebola because, thankfully, there are no cases of Ebola in the country other than the people that we are treating that have been confirmed. Could someone be hiding it? Could the government be hiding it? Of course! But we deal in facts here at The Correct View, so no. But we do still treat the virus here. Well, check this out. This is not good news at all. A surgeon, that is to say hero, who contracted the Ebola virus while working in Sierra Leone died Monday at a Nebraska hospital where he is being treated in a biocontainment unit, the facility said in a statement. A statement released by Monday by Nebraska Medical Center said Dr. Martin Salia, quote, has passed away as a result of the advanced symptoms of the disease, end quote. Hospital spokesman Taylor Wilson said Salia died shortly after 4 a.m. Monday. Salia's body will be cremated, thank God. Dr. Phil Smith, medical director of the biocontainment unit, said in a press conference. So unlike the selfish nurse, this doctor, no matter what his culture taught, decided that it would be best to burn the virus that killed him. Thank you, sir. Salia, 44, was being treated in the medical center's biocontainment unit after arriving Saturday by plane from West Africa. He was transported by ambulance to the hospital where 2 other Ebola patients have been successfully treated on Sunday. It says officials had described his condition as hour-by-hour situation. Many of you know I depart from some of my libertarian friends in that I do not have a problem with aid and health care. Dr. Salia was extremely critical when he arrived here, and unfortunately, despite our best efforts, we weren't able to save him, Smith said. Salia was placed on dialysis, and that's never a good sign, a ventilator, and given several medications to support his organ systems. He was given the drug Z-MAP on Saturday, which I'm in favor of. He also received a plasma transfusion from an Ebola survivor. That means everything they did to him is what I would want done to me. And a treatment, of course, it's believed to provide antibodies to fight the virus. They did everything they could do. They were out of their original order of Z-MAP, and this is a new order. Could that have anything to do with it? I don't know. But obviously, nobody did it on purpose. And the man died a hero. He leaves behind 2 children, ages 12 and 20. It's a shame. You had a real hero that went here, friends. You really did. Guys, I want to give a shout out to the Wounded Warrior Project. Why? Because they are doing wonderful things for charities. They're doing things for our wounded battlefield friends. Whether or not you're in favor of the war, our bravest are being sent, both men and women, to do things that you and I could never dream of. And sometimes they come back wounded. Sometimes they can't walk. Sometimes they can't move anything at all other than to blink and to talk. Wounded warriors are there for all of them. Last thing I want to do, guys, and I've still got 3 stories left, so do me a favor, don't go anywhere. Make sure you check out the Arcadia Grill. They're located in Canton, Ohio on Court Avenue, and they have absolutely delicious, mind-blowingly good food. Would you like to have drinks where they actually put the freaking alcohol in? And, here's a whole bunch of pop, here's a bunch of ice, and there's almost no alcohol. No. You want rum, you want Coke, and you want just the tiniest bit of ice so you can sip the damn thing. That is what you're going to get at the Arcadia Grill, and that's why I'm encouraging you to go there. Also get the ravioli. My God, is it good. All right, guys, last 4 stories that I'm going to get to. including, of course, the ever-present dumbdee of the day. One of them I'm going to get to real quick. I just wanted to mention, look up on my site, I called the Clark County, Ohio Sheriff's Department and thanked them for no longer doing involuntary blood draws. Did Sam just thank a cop on air? Yes, I did. I should thank the sheriff, and I stand by it. You are a hero, sir. Thank you for knowing what the Fourth Amendment is. This here, listen to this. U.S. college students face high debt and shattered dreams. This is from Al Jazeera from Mary Turek. This makes a lot of sense to me because I'm somebody that will probably never ever be able to pay off their student debts. I got my degree. It's an IMT in music and audio design. I know a lot of video work. I could do a lot more with this if I had more gear. My education is based in graphics, web design, that kind of thing. I paid a fortune for it at Stark State University, which I wouldn't, Stark State College of Technology, I should say, and I will never be able to pay it all off. This was an interesting story that caught my attention in that regard. On October 1st, Germany's Lower Saxony became the last German state to make college free for all, including international students. This is wonderful. You may have to learn German, which is bad because I have no aptitude for foreign languages whatsoever. I speak a tiny bit of German because of my brother, and I don't really speak it. I sort of destroy it. Briefly breaking, it says, from a national tradition, das ist gut, of free universities, Germany began charging a small amount of tuition in 2006, but that experiment failed. German leaders now say that tuition-based education is unjust and unfairly privileges students. You know what? I'm a libertarian, but I do agree. From affluent backgrounds, tuition fees degrade the educational opportunities for bright young people from low-income families. Gabrielle Heinen-Kaljajic, told you I sucked. State Minister for Science in Lower Saxony told the state parliament in September. There's links for all of this. Basically, Germany is able to offer college free without bankrupting the nation, without taking education away from those that can afford it, without starving teachers. Meanwhile, in this country, Obama has starved our doctors, canceled our insurance, and free health insurance has cost us all more. How does this happen? How does every nation in the world do better than we do at everything that they try to do? How many of you remember when America used to do things the best? Where the hell did that go? And it is true. I mean, you get saddled with so much debt here. We have already outsourced all the good jobs that you get that debt for. It makes you wonder exactly what it is that we're all paying for. So definitely look at the article, but that's the nuts and bolts of it. Germany is on track to give free college education without hurting the nation as much as, the euro did. All right, guys, this is TheGuardian.com. Paralyzed man Derek Fidyaika walks again after pioneering surgery. This is wonderful news. If you're not happy about this, then you are missing whatever the human element is. For everybody else, this is wonderful. For you non-ISIS members, the man who was completely paralyzed from the waist down can walk again after a British-funded surgical breakthrough which offers hopes to millions of people who are disabled by spinal cord injuries. This is unbelievably good news. Polish surgeons used nerve-supporting cells from the nose of Derek Fidyaika, a Bulgarian man who was injured 4 years ago, to provide pathways along which the broken tissue was able to grow. Again, Polish jokes, fire away. You know what? They did it. America didn't. What the hell? How is this happening? The 38-year-old, who is believed to be the first person in the world to recover from complete severing of the spinal nerves. Keep in mind, don't zone out. The first person to ever recover from a complete, that means total for you Kesha fans, a total severing of the spinal nerves, can now walk with a frame and has been able to resume an independent life, even to the extent of driving a car, while sensation has returned to his lower limbs. Professor Jeffrey Reisman, whose team at University College London's Institute of Neurology discovered the technique, said, quote, "We believe that this procedure is the breakthrough which, as it is further developed, will result in a historic change in the currently hopeless outlook for people disabled by spinal cord injury." This is wonderful. The surgery was performed by a Polish team led by one of the world's top spinal repair experts, Dr. Paweł Tabakal from the Wrocław Medical University, WROCLAW. What they do, it says here, 1, cells from the patient's olfactory bulbs in the brain were removed and grown in the lab. 2, the cells were injected into the spinal cord above and below the damaged site. 3, strips of nerve fibers were taken from the patient's ankle to form a bridge for the cells to grow across. No, it is not Sam's wishful thinking. It is not a science fiction story. Friends, that is science fact. That is your good news of the day. Which brings us to, come on, how many of you know it? The dumbdee of the freaking day. Photography is not a crime.com brings us this story. Tallahassee cops suspended, caught on video tasering a 62-year-old woman in the back. How in the world can this be going on? This isn't rare. How many of you know I do a million cop stories about abuse? How many of you know that 2/3 of them never make it to air? This isn't rare, friends. This is something that I'm running into day after day after day. Well, this is the dumbdee of the day. A Tallahassee cop was caught on cell phone video tasering a 62-year-old woman in the back as she walked away from him. Exactly what he ordered her to do, causing her to fall onto her face. It hit the street, and several shocked witnesses, it says, looked on. The incident, which took place after 5 p.m. Tuesday, led Tallahassee Police Chief Michael DeLeo calling a press conference at 3:15 a.m. this morning to announce that the officer had been placed on paid administrative leave pending an internal affairs investigation, of course, where the cops judged the cops. A complete contrast to how the department's former chief handled an incident last year caught on dash cam. Again, it's not all that rare. It shows a video of cops slamming a woman's face into a car before slamming her to the street, resulting in facial fractures and swollen eyes. Chief Dennis Jones kept that incident under wraps for nearly a month before the woman's attorney obtained the video, which quickly went viral. So why are they getting the dumbdee of the day? Because they did it on camera. It's not that I want them to do it off camera. It's just that really, I mean, good Lord alive, how stupid could you be? So there we have another incident, the dumbdee of the day, going to the Tallahassee cop who was suspended after tasering a 62-year-old woman in the back after he told her to move. How could this even be? Listen to this. It's almost too dumb to even read if you want the truth. Based on the video, I have enough concerns to call an internal investigation and have Officer Mahan, M-A-H-A-N, put on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation, DeLeo said. I would hope so. You told the woman to move and then tasered in the back. It says the incident stemmed from cops arresting a group of men for walking down the street. Several people were walking in the street but moved out of the way when another officer drove past them. They walked back into the street behind the officer, who then pulled over and approached them. Police reports say the people were blocking traffic. Okay, that's a problem. We're okay there. No problem with the cops yet. The officer, according to the court documents, got out of his car and approached Quantarius Jones, 23, and ordered him to stop walking multiple times. Jones was arrested on a charge of resisting without violence. While Jones was being arrested, Laguna Young, 41, and Quanitia Rivers, 20, both started yelling at the officers. That's still freedom of speech. They too were arrested for resisting without violence, whatever that means. Young also was arrested on a charge of probation violation. Shortly after the arrest, Viola Young approached officers and started yelling at them as they commanded a crowd to stay back from the area. Mahan told her to stay back. "I just want to know what's going on," she shouted at officers. Mahan told her she was under arrest, but Young moved away from him. As she was walking away, Mahan pulled out his taser and fired into her back. "We have a problem here." I thought it was only the old people in the Old West that did that. Young appeared on the video to fall face first into the pavement as neighbors watched. She rolled over onto her back while moving her arms as police handcuffed her and put her in the back of a squad car. That is why Mahan gets the dumbdee of the day. Friends, you are listening to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. reporting for The Media Speaks. It's all brought to you by Mike McLaughlin, who is doing some of the best fictional writing extant today. Do me a favor, head there and check it out. Also, go to themediaspeaks.com and look up the work of Kyle, Court, D-Lake, and myself. We are posting all of the time. If you wish to donate to the show, you can do so at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com, because every penny that you give to me does in fact go to a better show. And these cost more money than you would think to do. Good night, friends.